Hello and welcome back to this 15th video in my Managing Stress Q&A series. This is where I answer questions from readers. If you would like to submit your own question about managing stress to this series, then you can go to my website, aliceboys.com, sign up to my email list and reply to any of the emails that you get with your question. Alright, so what have we got for today? Okay, so this is from Patty. And Patty says, I'm doing everything possible to manage my stress this year, but I'm still feeling stressed out and unable to cope. Are there other solutions? Okay, yeah. So there are obviously like just dozens and dozens of things that you can do to manage stress, and some are kind of simpler and some are more complicated. One of the ways to think about it is to think about the different categories. So you've got cognitive strategies, physical strategies and behavioral strategies, and it's good to have some strategies in each of those categories that you feel comfortable with and that you know sort of your go-to strategies. And sometimes you might you don't have to keep up strategies all the time. So a lot of the things I do, I will cycle through, and there wouldn't be things that I wouldn't be wanting to spend hours and hours a day managing stress, right? But there are some times where I feel like I need a little bit more of that, like where I feel like I need like to spend an hour at the end of the day doing things that are that are good for my stress, and other times in life when I don't. So for example, things like having a bath, like there are times where I will go through phases of having a bath almost every night, and then I won't do it for months. Another thing I really like to do when I'm in a certain mode is like put lotion, like sort of kind of like self massage, like putting lotion on my hands or my feet or my face or whatever. And usually that coincides with times where I'm in that phase of taking a bath. Like there's like a physical. I feel like I need this sort of physical self-care, almost like a little cat that's like licking itself or something like. And so just kind of identifying what phase that you're in. Sometimes the self-care phase might be kind of like a taking care of things phase. Like it might be where you want to like, go get to the dentist if you haven't been to the dentist in like a couple of years or that kind of thing. Sometimes exercise is really good. So, but again, like you don't. I mean, obviously it's good to exercise all the time, but maybe there's a time where you need a goal and you have some type of exercise goal and you work toward that goal for a few months. Like if you're finding that you need a focus and you need something where it's where there's very achievable progress, so you've got that sort of like the buzz from the exercise, but also like that sense of achievement from working through some sort of program to improve yourself in some way. And then the other thing is of course the cognitive strategies, and sometimes if you're feeling at sea, I guess it's a sign that maybe you need a different type of strategy. So maybe you need something that's in a different category. Like if you tend to go for behavioral strategies, like you tend to try and manage stress by like being more organized or tidying up more or shuffling your to-do list or whatever. So those kinds of things are behavioral strategies. Maybe you pick a physical strategy like an exercise strategy or a meditation strategy, or maybe you pick a cognitive strategy. So something that I've really enjoyed in the last week or two is a TED talk by Lori Gottlieb. So she is an author and columnist, and she does a podcast with my good friend Guy Winch called Dear Therapists. But she's got a TED talk that's on YouTube that is about changing your story, and it talks about how a lot of us our stories of the situation that we're in, one of the major themes is of being trapped, and like I'm obviously not denying that some people have hard circumstances, but that really is like a story that you can fall into that's very stress generating, and And so yeah, that might be something to look at, just to see whether you need some a cognitive shift. Sometimes just talking to somebody is useful for getting that cognitive shift. So I had something stressful that I was going through. I've something stressful I've been going through for the last like 18 months or so. But I had been talking about it to my cousin, and she mentioned a friend of a friend who was also, or who had been through something similar. And I said, oh, like I kind of like to, I would be really nice to talk to that person. And so I got set up for a phone call with this friend of a friend, and it was good. It was really good. The person said one thing in particular that that like just changed my story a little bit, and that I ended up thinking about for for a couple of weeks after, like periodically. And it was just like a completely random person. So just getting a different perspective on the story. And again, like that's an example. A lot of people say, oh, like I can't afford like any kind of therapy or anything like that, but there are some other options for getting support and getting a new outlook on things if you're open to opportunities that come along. So those are some suggestions. But I would say if you feel like you're needing to expend a lot of energy managing your emotions, don't think you need to sort of keep up these routines of managing stress. Like allow yourself to cycle through them a little bit more depending on what you need at the time. Like as I said, sometimes what I feel like I need is nightly baths. Sometimes what I feel like I need is like getting life back in order, like doing those kinds of things, like going to the dentist and those things that make you feel like a competent human and like you're getting some self-care done. All right, so that is the answer for now. Thank you very much for sending in that question, and I'm recording a few in a row, so before my 4-year-old gets up, so I'm going to take one more quickly, and so I'll see you in the next one.